Welcome in, everyone. This is IGY6 podcast, hosted by yours truly. Tonight's episode, we're going over men's or women's mental health. Correct me, belayed my last. And we have two amazing guests, two queens, as we appreciate them, Hammy and Miss Bozzy. So as we always, we always do with our guests, we let them go around and introduce themselves, and then we start going over questions and getting chat involved. So, Hammy.
I guess I will take it away. What do we want to know? I am Hammy, going ham. I'm sure people have seen me around. I have been gaming my entire life. Super excited to do this podcast. Bozzy actually invited me on because her and I do share similar stories, similar histories. So I'm excited to dive right into it.
Hell yeah. Bozzy.
We practice that. I don't care
Not
what.
listen, I don't public speak. I'm terrified.
That was fabulous. I was like, I should have wrote something down. No, I'm just kidding. Hi guys, I'm Bozzy, or Miss Bozzy B. I've been streaming for like 2 or 3 years now. Nothing crazy. Just recently came over to Kick, Carbon Gaming Group, content lead, and stuff like that. Yeah, I'm super excited for this with this amazing woman.
Hell yeah. And I greatly appreciate you guys both being on here with us. Making sure everything's going well. All right, cool. Because all of a sudden the audio mixer stopped going up and down. But yes, so tonight is women's mental health. We did men's mental health parts 1 and 2 last month. So I decided to reach out to Bozzy, and Bozzy had a perfect other co-host or co-guest to be on us tonight. So we're going to be going over, getting chat involved, have everything touch base, because it doesn't matter if you're man or woman. Mental health is a key thing for both of us. So let's go ahead and get into the first question here. So how much does it affect you if your partner has a stressful or dangerous job? Hammy?
Well, I have previously had a partner who did have a very stressful job. He was actually in the military. I would say it definitely affected me a lot. There was a lot of worry around, where we were going to be next, what his training was going to look like. The first time he went to NTC, there was a big accident at NTC where a few people were actually injured. The deployments, all of the things, it's a very, very high stress job for him. And it was a very, very high stress partnership for me on the receiving end of things. I felt like there was never like a moment where I felt like I could just breathe.
What goes through your mind when he's not home and stuff like that? So what's going through, like, what are you thinking about? Like, are you trying to stay positive, or are you having like those negative thoughts, like the dangerous
It was
thoughts?
a lot going through my mind at all times. Unfortunately, we were in Colorado, so I didn't really have a good support system out there at first. Our family was all in Florida at the time. So I didn't have the greatest support system to begin with. I made a couple of friends, but even then, I feel like with the most amazing support system you could have, there's always a consistent worry of, when is he going to be home? What are they doing? How strenuous is this on them, on their bodies, on their mental state? Because, even if it affects us and our mental health, it's a high stress job for them. So it affects their mental health at the same time. So, by the time they get home, everybody's on high alert for all things across the board. And it was just a lot of worry about safety. And it was his safety and my safety and safety of everybody involved as well.
It could be stressful, especially being on the opposite end of going on red zone deployments and being married at one time. I can imagine what you guys go through being back at home base, not knowing what's going on from afar.
Went through. Yeah.
Media blackouts are always fun.
Oof. Yeah. Don't call, don't tell. Yeah. Can
Yep.
imagine. Bozzy?
So I can't speak to a lot of that because my ex-husband only had a stressful job in that he kept the lines of communication open for a pretty big company. Ended up being about 20,000 people. He was always super stressed, always on call. So of course that made things super tense at home. He'd be gone for 2 or 3 days at a time, depending on where he was having to go to. But it did bring a lot of stress in. He was always stressed. So of course that stress kind of clouded and uh, protruded. Is that a good word for that? I don't know. It was definitely seen and felt through everyone in the house. But it wasn't like my stress and the stress that Hammy is talking about were obviously very different.
Understandable. Now, to add on to that, per se, your partner comes home and has a very stressful, bad day, something went wrong, or something good, but they come home. How do you approach them knowing that it's an open door? If they want to talk about it, they can, but how would you feel if they never opened up or talked to you about their jobs or how their day went?
That was my
Um,
situation. That was my
yeah,
situation.
he it was a very tough situation because I am a very big communicator. I know if I'm stressed, if I've had a bad day, if I've had whatever it is, I want to talk and I want to get those things out because I know how negatively bottling it up can affect you. Um, and with his job and his personality in general, it was a lot of I already don't want to talk about things because he grew up in a very toxic household with, boys aren't allowed to talk about anything. Boys can't feel, boys can't open up. So he already bottled everything to begin with. But then when you have a job where you can't really speak to a lot of things, um, it consistently heightened the animosity, and there was constant eggshells that I was walking around. So the door on my end was always open if he ever needed to talk. The issue is that he never did talk, unfortunately, and I think that ended up leading to a lot of issues that we potentially could have resolved at some point. Um, but yeah, I wish for anybody, if you do have a partner, just please, 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 I hope that your door is always open for them and their door is always open for you.
Perfect set of words and advice to give to others. Bazi?
Um, so it's funny that Hammy, we kind of shared in the same thing there. My ex-husband didn't want to talk about it because he was brought up that you don't share your problems. You internalize and you figure out how to get over them yourself. Now with EJ, that's a whole different ballpark. EJ believes in open and honest communication at all times. So if he comes home with that mental that is already shot, we love to sit down and have and talk it out. And my part in that is just to listen and literally just to let him get it out. And it has made such a huge difference in the lines of communication as we started forming that relationship.
I think it's also important to know too, in certain scenarios, and I'm sure you've learned this with EJ, or you guys have some sort of system where you know when you can push a little bit to get things out, but you know when you just need to absolutely back off, and then they will come to you when they're ready to come to you about certain things.
100%. He is more of the open. Let's talk about it very quickly. Me, on the other hand, he's learned that I have to internalize it for a little bit,
Hmm.
and then he knows he can when and what to say to approach and to get me to talk about whatever the stressful, whatever's going on.
Yeah.
It's always a plus to have your partner be on that same page. And normally, previous relationships that have negative impacts on yourself, the new relationships, they don't know what they're getting into until they get to know you. So they start wondering how big of a wall they had to adjust to and to avoid those stepping stones where they could be in the same muck of water that your exes put you guys in. So, what are three key things in a relationship or in a friendship that is needed so that way you don't have the mental health stress on your life, that where you can trust, where you can talk to someone? What are the three key things?
Way to start communication for sure.
100%.
always communication, whether it's the easy conversations, always the tough, hard conversations to have. I think there needs to be some sort of open line of communication. I think there needs to be reciprocation. I don't know, the third one's a toughie.
Yeah, I think you hit it, and I think you need to learn, as you're starting that relationship, you need to learn what those. I mean, you hear triggers, like that's a hot word.
Mhm.
Learn those triggers and learn that body language that tells you something's going on, and learn when the body language is telling you, hey, I'm ready to talk about it, I'm ready to communicate. I think that's huge.
I think understanding and understanding. So communication and understanding and reciprocation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Great key points. So this is just an objective question because I know two of us don't have kids, but Bozzy, she works with kids. What
They
positive
ain't my kids.
you work with kids? I didn't
It's
say
like,
that
oh,
you have
I guess.
quiz. What positive or negative impact do your kids put on your mental health?
It's hard for me to speak to that, so Bazzi, you take it away.
They're not even mine. Okay, let's go ahead and get that out there. They're not even mine, but I see them during the school year more than their parents see them. Okay, let's talk about that first. Everything they're feeling is going to be projected in that classroom. Everything they don't have at home, I'm supposed to give them there. The safety net, the love, everything. And so when they're bringing those outside things going on, whether gang wars, whether it's mom and dad are fighting, whether it's dad selling drugs out the house. I mean, that's just the type of kid I've worked with. They come in and they bring that in, and you've got 10 different kids or 20 different kids in your classroom telling you these different things. That loads onto your mental, and it's so hard to figure out ways to communicate that with your partner. It absolutely crushes your mental day in and day out, wondering if they are okay when they leave you, or if they're, I mean, what their family's doing. Are they getting into trouble somewhere? It's, and you can't get rid of that. So for 180 days out of the year, I'm constantly subjected to that. And my best thing for anyone, if you deal with that, you've got to be able to talk to someone about it, whether it's your friends around you, whether it's other people in your profession, or your significant other. You cannot bottle that up. It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
My mom's a teacher, and she'll tell you, she was like, I used to have to keep a full fridge stocked in my classroom at all times because I never know when my kids ate at home. I didn't know if they were getting meals. She was like, a lot of parents just treat us like a daycare center, and we
100%.
fed them. And she's like, these kids would come in stressed and just off all of the time. She's been teaching now for 15 years. I have no idea how that woman's been able to do it. No idea. I think the opposite side too, like coming from somebody who has kids in their life. I have divorced parents. I have friends who have been through divorce with
Same.
kids. I think, obviously a big positive of children is children are beautiful. It's such a beautiful thing for anybody, any dynamic. They're little humans that you get to mold and raise, but the negative side of that too is I think a lot of parents are really hard on themselves
Yep.
with how they're molding and how they're raising. Obviously, that can be very hard on mental health. I think, too, a lot of parents tend to lose themselves in their parenthood and their entire identity becomes a parent, which is great if that's your thing. But I think that also has a negative effect on a lot of people because they tend to forget who they are, because who they are to themselves and to everybody else is just a mom or a dad. They're no longer who they are as a human. And that can be tough for a lot of people.
And I completely agree. I do not have kids of my own. I am a second oldest of 5 siblings, so I definitely get what kids go through and what they see from a parent's perspective because you have your parents. At 10 years old, my mom divorced. She's been married 2 other times since then, and I've also been divorced, so I completely understand what a child's impact could do to either put more stress on a parent or to help them out, especially like chores, doing well in school, not having the school call you for being, because I know all of us kids were a bunch of mischievous little shits back then. So I didn't do certain things that my brother did, like throw chairs at teachers and stuff like that. But
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I definitely.
Is your brother my ex?
No, he's 6 feet under. To be
I'm sorry.
It happens. But I definitely understand when it comes to kids, because we were all kids at one point. So now, as adults, if we join the parenthood, we understand what it'd be like. But at the same time, we don't know what our kids are going through every day in school, bullying, stress, and it could be the good things too, like sports and extracurricular activities and stuff like that. Boz, you had something?
Oh, no, sorry. I was scratching my face. And I was agreeing and shaking my head.
But yes, so it's a key thing, because kids can be a positive, but they also can be a negative impact on mental health, and especially if one of the parents are not home all the time. So if it's a blue collar dad or a military dad or mom, and they're constantly on the road, or a trucker and stuff like that, where they're not home, it puts a lot of stress on the other half to take care of the kids and keep the house as a whole. And then hopefully when the other person comes home, they're not causing the negativity of stress to grow, but also to benefit and help take the other partner out to eat, take them away, and just give them a break, let them breathe, and knowing that they have a supportive system, not only financially, mentally, and physically.
Well, and I know, so there's this new phrase that's been going around that I've heard a lot of people speak to, is the mental load, right?
Yep.
So you have two people who have children, and a lot of the times the responsibility, I can't tell you how many women I know who have left their marriages because there is no split on the mental load. The cooking, the cleaning, the laundry, the kids, picking them up from school, so where everything would fall to the women in the particular situations I'm talking about. And the women were like, we've tried with our husbands, we've talked about this, we've expressed our need for just some help somewhere. So I think the mental load in terms of all of the responsibilities that come with having kids can also have a huge negative impact, like you said, if there's not a good support system at home to help.
100%.
And a lot of times, you just, no matter how much you say it, it's not going to change.
And that's the thing. Every day you're going through, you wake up, you go to sleep, you do the same things. You might have a little extra here and there, but you also got to think about, take that time to just like breathe in, clear yourself, and then approach whatever you have to approach that day with the integrity of yourself, because you're the ones going through it. If there's something that's bothering you and you need someone to talk to, there is those gateways of reaching out and talking. You have your friends, you have your family. It could be a complete stranger if you trust the fact that you venting will help you get through the rest of the day, because you matter and tomorrow is not guaranteed.
I can't tell you how many arguments my ex and I had gotten into, because granted, with no kids, he took no responsibility for anything. Like, I had to make sure all the bill pay was set up, every bill got paid, cooking, cleaning, laundry. I had to do his laundry a certain way. And then, like, the one question that would always make me snap is, what are we doing for dinner? And I would be like, well, can you not figure it out? For, like, I'm doing all of these things. Why can you not take the initiative on this one particular piece?
Like, take that little bit of stress off the plate.
Tiny little bit. Yeah.
Like, help.
Yeah, it was the opposite.
Yeah.
He wouldn't let me do any of that. And a lot of people don't think about that's mentally taxing too. Like, I feel like I'm not doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
And why aren't you letting me do anything?
Yeah.
But Billy, I wanted to touch on something you said about venting to those friends and giving yourself that space. And I may be talking about myself here, but I think that's why I got into gaming.
Yeah.
Mhm.
was to give myself that release and letting that mental load take a break.
Yep.
I didn't have to think about what's going on with my relationship or my school stuff. I could just game. And then someone in your chat, I was scrolling up trying to look for it, but they talked about um, being careful about venting to those around you and not
Yes.
talking to your spouse about it.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah.
I love that. But at the same time, if your spouse won't listen,
But that's
what
different
the
too.
hell am I supposed to do?
Or you get the other side of you try to talk to them and they don't listen, so you vent, but then they find out that you're venting and it's, well, why are you sharing my business? Because I can't talk to you.
Because
So
you
what am I
won't
supposed to
listen.
do?
You won't let me talk.
Mhm.
My mental health was at stake because I couldn't keep it in.
Yep.
So I just had to. I saw that and
No,
you know, little
that's a
trigger.
key thing because a lot of people stream and game in today's day and age is because it's a loophole. It's a way to separate life from itself so you can just be you. Not saying you're faking it to make it, but it is just a gateway of being able to breathe for that
Mhm.
30 to 2 hour mark of just being in a different world. Not saying it's a bad thing, but if it helps you, do it. There is nothing wrong with that. Gaming helps, streaming helps, talking helps. And if you're not getting that support from your partner or other people, if it's other people, those aren't your friends. Make new friends. But if it's your partner that you are bonded with by paper and by love, and they're not talking to you or letting you vent or them vent to you, and it's like bunching two hammerheads together.
Yes.
You got to do it somewhere, and if they're not, and they gonna vent to you like, "Oh my God, you're telling other business," I'm like, I'm home alone. I'm taking care of the house. I'm freaking doing your laundry. I'm doing this, and that, but you won't talk to me. What am I supposed to do? Let it bunch up until I explode like a nuclear warhead? Like, hello?
Correct.
Yeah.
But no, definitely key thing. And not everything about mental health is negative, but it's people that deal with stuff on a day-to-day basis that don't talk about it. It's what builds up inside until they finally snap. It could be good, it could be bad, it could finally open the eyes of someone else. But someone has to be able to talk and listen. If someone doesn't, if they're raised that way, well, maybe they should go talk to someone with a license and see what the hell's wrong with them. Or if they're in the military, they have all the different things because everything about mental health in the military is huge because suicide is no joke, civilian side or military side.
If it tells you anything about the kind of person my ex was, he would pride himself on being able to manipulate therapists.
Jesus.
Mhm.
Like, are you trying to fight a battle of... No, you don't do that.
Mhm.
What the fuck?
And even the military ones, there were a couple of times after he got home from deployment where obviously you go through your mental health evals, and he passed with flying colors, and then he would get home and I can't tell you how many of his buddies were like, no dude, like, you have severe PTSD, you need to go talk to somebody, and he would just talk his way right out of it like it was nothing.
My ex-husband would not look for help to anyone, and it's so refreshing seeing men coming around now that are okay with looking for help and getting help by a professional. EJ speaks with his therapist every week, and it's one of the highlights of his week because, again, that mental load she's working on, she's helping in ways that I can't. As his partner, I can't, and she's able to do so much for him.
Yeah.
And that's
Well, and sometimes
hard, I
as
think, for
partners,
men.
like, we can listen, but there's only so much we can listen. Like, there's certain things that we don't know how to help you through those things.
Right.
And
I'll
there's
listen
certain
all you
things you don't know
want.
how to help us through. Like, so talking
100%.
to, I am such an advocate for therapy. You could be the most level-headed, sane, successful person in the world. You could have no problems, no childhood issues. Talk to a therapist because you never know truly how much it's going to help you.
It's a big thing. Like, speaking of blue collar spouses, military spouses, people that are like on oil rigs or like they have to leave the house and be gone for long periods of time. some of us, like I can talk to anyone about anything and I'll be okay. And I've been to combat zones. I've seen shit that people only see in movies that's not even correct half the time.
Mm-hmm.
But there's people that come home and they're just bundled up and they just won't talk about it. Yeah, you get it. As a dependent spouse, you don't deal and see that stuff. But there's a lot of dependent spouses that get involved in the communities and mental health and all the events they do on base so they can understand what goes on. Like, we have a job to do. It's not all about guns and protecting and serving. It's whatever our job is that we are doing is what we're over there for. And if you can't open up and explain, and that goes for all types of jobs with your spouse, she doesn't know what's going on in your head. And if what EJ's doing is talking to a therapist, you might not understand what he goes through or what he has been through, but that therapist is helping that that middle piece, so that way you guys can have normal conversations and still talk about things, and then he can be excited and talk about the conversations he has, so that way you understand more. And it's also a plus if that therapist, even though it's a privilege between patient and therapist, she can't really like call you and give you the 401 and have like a Hallmark Channel conversation with you. But if there was like a conversation where you guys ever met, she can help you, like if an episode happens, or he comes home from work and he's ready just to knock someone's block off. It all depends on situations where you're there. You're the anchor. You want to be there for them. You want to talk to them, and you want them to understand that you're their safe space. And that's the key thing.
And Bozzy, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but one of the benefits to that, especially for women or being the partners or any partner, man or woman, there are so many times I knew with my ex too, where I was like, I just talk to me, just tell me about it, just tell me about it, tell me about it. If he would have gone to talk to a therapist, and if he would have been able to work through certain things with a therapist, I would have been completely happy never hearing about it. But knowing that he's doing the work and seeing the positive changes on the other side, and that would have helped my mental health in that situation, knowing that he's helping himself too.
100%, you are never wrong. Never wrong. And that's the big difference now between the past relationship I was in now is EJ reaching out and trying to get that help and loving when he can get that help, even though he was taught and he was brought up in that time that men don't need it. It's been such a positive to both our mental health.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You're not wrong.
Move on to our next little trinket of questions. How does your job affect your mental health, and how do you affect it when you come home? Do you, at the threshold, when you walk through the door of your home at the end of the day, do you leave work at work and home is home? Or do you let work bother you and it's always in your head when you come home?
So I work from home. So I never get to cross the threshold of this, excuse my language, shit stays somewhere. No, so I actually run business operations for a rather large company, and it's for our entire tech division. So I work with 7 of our leaders, 2 of them are C-suite, and then 5 other executives, and I'm managing all of their projects all of the time, which is big stress. Regardless, because each team has these other little departments, and there's so many moving pieces and parts. And then, so for instance, like with yesterday with the whole CrowdStrike thing, we had a lot of issues with outages. So yesterday was just high stress in general. Every day is high stress across the board. But the downside for me is that I don't get to cross a threshold and say, okay, I'm leaving this at work. I'm home now. Things are great. So obviously, like, my job has a huge impact on my mental health consistently. But the way that I'm able to combat it is I get my ass out. I go to the gym, I do happy hour with the girls, whatever I need to do, because me leaving my home is now leaving all of my work stuff behind, getting it out of my system, and then coming back is like, okay, now everything's been left, I'm back in my home again.
And that's definitely needed. Touching grass, as us streamers call it, where getting out and being involved with other things, having hobbies, and just breathing the fresh air. Like, right now is the perfect time. That's why it's a little bit slower. Kids are out. They're being more involved in sports or going and camping, events,
Hmm.
fairs. It's always nice just to get out, and if it's only for a half hour, roll your windows down, blast your music, and just
Go
go
do
on the back
something.
roads and just enjoy the luxuries of just being you. Scream at the
Yeah.
top of your lungs if you want to.
I would honestly be very curious to see any kind of statistics on, because working from home it's such a privilege and it's such a great thing, especially for somebody like me who like I like to be able to take my time. I can do my laundry, I can do whatever I want to do, but I don't have the constant socialization as if I'm in the office. I don't have the ability to leave work at work and come home, and my home is my home. So I'd be curious to see just kind of worldwide, nationwide, statewide, whatever statistics on how much working from home actually negatively impacts mental health.
And that's huge. It's something that's gonna. It's always on your mind. You might not
Yeah.
move your mouth at all times when you're thinking about stuff, but your mind is always moving,
Hmm.
even when you're sleeping. Bozzy, what about you?
Um,
These damn kids! I swear to God.
these damn motherfuckers. No, I'm just kidding. No, that is probably the hardest part of my job. Now, it has gotten significantly better over the past few years, in a way, I can say, because I teach a different clientele, if you will, of children. I went from teaching what we call the general gen pop population of kids. Um, those are my gangers. Those are my single households. Those are my just scraping by. Um, you couldn't leave work at work when you taught those kids. You were worried. You could be driving down the road and them and their five siblings were walking down the highway doing who knows what. Um, it, it doesn't leave. I can get out. I can go find those hobbies, as someone said in your chat. We love to go to the gym. That never leaves. Worrying about if they're safe, what they're doing, do they have a meal that night. Um, I can't tell you. No, I can't tell you. Three of my previous students have been murdered this year. Gang wars. Um, so I'm constantly worried about them. And that weighs heavily. Any teacher will tell you that. Any teacher, even if they were your student 10 years ago, you still worry. You still have those ones that you know, like we could pick them out before they got to us. Yep, they'll be in jail in a few years. Yep, she's probably going to be pregnant before she's out of high school, which is not a bad thing. I'm not saying that, but it makes it significantly harder because these kids don't have the parents to teach them how to deal with these things.
Nope.
Um,
It was
and I
bad
said
for
what
us
I
too.
said.
Yeah, it's even when we were in school because we're all close in proximity to age, and it's always the same thing. I remember my graduation day. One of my friends freaking passed out as we're getting ready to walk and
Yeah.
get our diplomas, and we thought it was because we just got shit faced drunk the night before. Nope, she was pregnant. So,
Jesus Christ.
but
Well, and it's not a bad thing for these
it,
kids to have parents that will help them through these things and teach them how and what to do.
Well, and look at how
That's
many kids don't have that kind of stuff. Like they're
they
terrified to
don't
tell their parents if they get in those situations.
and those are the
100%.
households. Those are the households that affect so many kids. Because if
Hmm.
you can't, you can understand you are a parent. You have to know when to be a parent, and also it's okay to be a friend to your child. When you have that bond where you can talk to them and they'll come to you about anything, there's nothing that'll break that ever. But if
Yeah.
you're constantly where your kids worry about if your parents find out or if they did this, you have to know like yes, there are consequences when it comes to actions. But at the same time, you got to know how to address them and approach them and talk about them. And a lot of times, yeah, it's 2024, and a lot of things are turning to the soft ways of parenting and stuff like that. Because the kids that are going through schools now, compared to what when we went to school, are way different.
Hmm.
Cell phones are coming a thing. Technology is coming a thing. Freaking social media is becoming a thing, and it's just if they see it on TV and they see it, they're gonna act on it. We didn't have those luxuries. We had freaking Snake on our phone, and we were writing freaking notes in class and having books all that stuff is just it affects how parents today.
Well, we were outside
their
until the
kids.
street lights came on. We didn't have a tablet or a screen in front
100%.
of our faces at all times. We didn't have access to Mr. Beast and all of these things. Like,
Yep.
we were outside doing things and not just screen locked as children.
Playing tag with flashlights.
And I mean, granted, there were still bullies and whatnot in
Yeah.
but I feel like the access to technology and social media has made it so much worse for kids now. So much worse
100%.
because they're learning these new phrases that they should have no business knowing. They're going through these little challenges where they're actually putting themselves in danger. And it's a wild it's the wild west out there for kids right now, and for parents who are trying to figure out how to navigate a world like this, because this isn't the world that they grew up in.
Well, and the technology that these kids use, and they are so good at it, which
Mhm.
makes bullying 1,000 times harder to combat.
Yep.
A lot of people give teachers and schools a lot of flack. Well, why didn't you do something about that?
Mm-hmm.
Honey, we can't just look through your kid's phone, especially when they're using Snapchat and things go away. That is a whole nother ballpark. And the mental health of these kids is more of, well, if I tell someone, what are they going to do about it? What can they do about it? Or they're scared to tell someone. Social media is literally the devil for children.
Yeah. Yep.
They're not ready
Agreed.
for it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Agreed,
when I
but you
say-
have parents who don't want to be parents, so they give their kids access to whatever because that's what keeps them entertained.
100%.
Well, parents nowadays, because like my older sister is a culprit of this. Both her kids, one is getting ready to, I believe she's about to be a freshman. I could say getting a phone that age is maybe be okay. I didn't get my first ever phone until I was 16. It was a Qualcomm, and it had no games on it. It was a green screen, and it had Snake. That's all I could do. I
had one when I was in
That's like,
6th grade, but I was in sports, and my mom was a single mom, so she
Yep.
had to
That
be
was
able
it.
to like. But I had Snake, and I had minutes. Like I.
And
I could
that's
only send so many
understandable.
texts.
But now, like, my sister's kids literally have, like, they can Snapchat. Because I blocked my niece from Snapchat. Because she don't need to see my Snapchat. I'm a grown-ass man, and I do some funny stuff. She do not need to see because then she can tell my sister, then tell my mom, and then my mom. Yeah, no, I don't need any.
how old is she, if you don't mind me asking?
10, so it is 14. She'll be 14 this year.
Well, and Bazzi, what'd you say to me when you were streaming the other day? Because when Soup followed you, you were like, I have students, I have kids who are finding me
Yep.
on a platform they have no business being on right now.
Yep.
10, 11, and 12-year-olds. On these platforms. You've got to be kidding me.
Well, you got all the
And these platforms are giving a lot of freedom to creators these days. So it's
100%.
Well, yeah, because kids have access to YouTube, so they're going to watch like Roblox and other things like that. They're going to go watch these creators on YouTube, and then they find out they have other platforms. They're going to go watch them live. Kick, Twitch, doesn't matter.
God forbid a 10-year-old boy finds out that his favorite female streamer has an OnlyFans.
I was just about to get
that
to
happened
that.
to a teacher.
Yep, I was about to get that too, because the teachers,
She got canned.
Yep.
But now she making like 3 or 4 times more than she was a teacher, so
Yeah.
you make your bag, baby.
I have nothing against people with OnlyFans because I support those that do it, but at the same time, kids should not have access.
No, not at all.
Because
But again, it's
all they need
wrapped
is their
up
parents'
to-
credit card, and they can see
Yep.
everything, the Forbidden Trench and all that fun sands and boodles. And
Did you just say the Forbidden Trench? Okay, that's what we call it nowadays. Got it.
Yeah, I clipped that. That'll be on the Carb channel next week. So, we touch base on kids, and we can continue and talk about kids. It can be positive, it can be negative. It's 2024. There's a lot of things. I'm glad you two women, among people in chat and other people in our community, have their heads on straight, and we don't hear many issues with our friends' kids, but we see it on the news, we see it on social media, we see it in every day, just going to Walmart and seeing a kid screaming their head off. It's like, if I don't get this fucking toy, I'm gonna fucking make a scene. I'm like,
Yep.
well, I'm going to Adrian Peterson and go outside and grab a switch, and then we'll see if that's going to do some business. Because back in my day, I got a leather belt. And if the leather belt didn't work, my mom's right hook would knock me out, and I accordion myself, and everyone would be just sitting doing this. Yeah, that's how you do it, mama. That's how you do it. But you do that shit now, and po-po get called, and they're just shaking their head. It's like, wow, this is stupid, but I might take you to jail. So, it's a lot of key things. Because not only men, but women go through stress too. And it's just as equal. Anyone that says otherwise, they don't understand. They just believe in monkey see, monkey do. But in my point of view, I've been through stress. But I respect women that go through stress because they see more than what guys see. Because guys, most of the time, we're out working. Now, if you're a stay-at-home dad, nothing against you. Kudos to you. Hope your wife's making that bag because that's the only way I'll stay home. If she ain't making six figures, and shit, I'll suck the toes off you if you're doing that kind of money. But I respect women because they see everything. You might not think they don't see, but they see everything. And if they don't see with their own eyes, their friends, there's eyes everywhere. You got social media, you got Snapchat. And if you're insecure about things, make sure you turn your location off. Because otherwise, because like Snapchat, they can tell you when you're driving, like, where are you going? I'm going over here. No, you ain't, because why are you going that way? Yeah. It's always about trust. It's always about communication. And if you don't have that with your spouse, it's going to cause a lot of issues.
If you don't have that with yourself, you got to have it with yourself too. If you don't trust yourself,
exactly.
If you're not willing to be open and honest and have that communication with yourself and trust yourself, that weighs so negatively on you too.
Exactly. She hit it right on the nail. If you don't have it within yourself, why do you expect someone else to have it? Just like both of you guys' previous exes wouldn't communicate or didn't want you to do anything, so they were doing it. Or you were doing everything, but dinner's not ready. And it's always the things that just builds up until you finally snap. Luckily, you guys are both still here, not behind bars. Or running a business where you can hide people and hide your kids, hide your wife. So it's crazy to believe that a lot of people don't talk about mental health when it comes to any type of topic. It's why I love hosting this, because I'm not afraid to talk about any topic. It might make me feel uncomfortable because I did a postpartum podcast last year. That shit was definitely mind and eye opening because I never birthed a kid. I was hooked up to a simulator, and I appreciate you women that's ever gone through childbirth because fuck that shit. Never doing that. Nope. But it's crazy to believe that today's day and age, people neglect, because you can talk to a lot of friends, you can talk to a lot of men, and they always shun the fact that women don't go through the same shit men do. And I believe it's the opposite. Because, yes, men's mental health is such a stress because men don't talk. Men don't open up. And I'm not saying all do. I'm just saying men, as in plural, where most. I was a locked up individual when it came to thinking about stuff. When I was going through my ex-wife cheating on me multiple times while I was deployed overseas in red zone deployments, where I'm not even thinking about my wife except on certain occasions, thinking I'm not going to make it back home. But it took one person to listen to me, where I realized that I needed that, and I wanted to be there for someone else. So I always loved when a friend, women or man, would just listen. Same thing when it goes to women, same thing goes for men. If you don't talk about your problems, I'm not saying they're good or bad, it's gonna eat you up inside. Mm-hmm. It's gonna eat you up.
So now we get into relationships, right? There's this whole big thing, trust relationships, all of this, where there are so many women, there are so many men who, if their partner has somebody that they can confide in that is of the opposite sex, it will blow their whole relationship up. But I feel like, for me, even if my ex my ex had a female best friend and he confided in her a lot. And I was like, you're talking to somebody. I wish it were me, but you're talking to somebody. And I need you to be able to do that, because if he didn't have somebody he was able to talk to, it would have made things significantly worse. Obviously, there's boundaries, there's lines that shouldn't be crossed, this, that, and the other. But I feel like if you meet the person, get to know the person, if you're comfortable with the person, you're comfortable with them having that type of relationship, they're talking to somebody. They're talking.
That's the thing a lot of women cannot handle right there.
Mm-hmm.
And vice versa. And vice versa too.
Yep.
If I had a male best friend, or if a woman has a male best friend, and that can cause, if you don't have that trust in one another and you don't have that open line of communication, if they need to talk to someone else, that a lot of people couldn't do that. But I applaud you for that.
It was tough. It was tough
Yeah.
because I found out the hard way that he probably should not have been confiding in those women. But
100%.
for me, it's just as I feel like everybody deserves somebody to talk to.
Hmm.
And if they're struggling that bad and they need somebody to talk to that bad, at least they're talking and they're not holding it up.
Now, with that, because like you just kind of alluded to, you probably shouldn't have been that trusting. Do you think that because of the impact that had on your mental health, your relationship, do you think that will have an impact on your next one? We can say we don't want it to. 100%.
Absolutely. I'm sure there will be a part of me that would be kind of like, I'm not entirely comfortable with this, but and it's hard to say I need some definitive boundaries because you never know what's happening in the background or whatever. So I think it would definitely be difficult for me. I would hope that in my next relationship, whoever I am with is comfortable enough with me to talk to me or to see a licensed therapist. And the problem now with that is, and this is totally, I could have just kicked myself in the ass saying this. I'm totally might be contradicting what I just said, but I think for me going forward, if you're not comfortable with at least talking to me about some of it, then this might not be good.
Yep.
Yeah, 100%. And that's going into the new relationship with the information we had from the past, knowing that I needed that good communication first and foremost. Or if I knew very quickly that I could see that you were hiding things, maybe even little things, maybe things that nobody thinks is just inconsequential. I swear for God, it helped me on the next relationship.
Yeah.
And understanding that I needed that communication.
Or just tell me, hey, I have this friend. Yes, they are of the opposite sex. They are somebody I talk to, and I'm talking to them about this situation. The problem with him is that he would hide it.
Yeah. Whoa.
So if somebody was straightforward with me, he would hide it with certain individuals. He wouldn't hide it with that. There was like one that I could trust him to talk to about with whatever. Certain individuals it was hidden with. But as long, like, I feel like if it were a situation where they were like, hey, this person has been in my life for this amount of years. They are somebody that I confide in. They are somebody that I have depended on. They can depend on me. As long as they're open with me about who they're talking to and what they're talking about, just don't give me a reason to not trust you.
100%.
I always look at it as if you got through a relationship and that didn't work out, you were just the caretaker until they found a forever home.
Oh, I was a mom. I was a single mom to a grown ass man. I was a foster home.
Right there, 3 words right there. Caretaker, foster home, mom.
Yep.
I mean, I have a mom. I don't need a mommy, but I'll be your daddy for sure.
Jesus Christ.
But that's the key thing. If you do not have trust and you have communication, you guys both hit everything on the nail. Everything key point is if they're holding stuff against you, if they're talking and confiding, and I completely agree with an ex talking to another female, friend or not, that gives bad signals, especially to the spouse. If you're at the point, and I'm not saying marriage is even in the window yet, and you're talking, dating, hanging out, and you can't communicate and have that trust where you can literally, that is your number, that's supposed to be your best friend. That's supposed to be the person you share a bed with and you talk to on anything. That's your number one. And then it's probably your mom if you're a mama's boy, blah, blah, blah. But that's your number one. If you can't talk to him because you're afraid what she would look at you differently, if you're just afraid in general or you just can't talk but you can talk to other people, what's the difference of you just talking to someone else? Especially another woman when your wife is at home. I don't know. I'm not Mel Gibson. I can't think about what you're thinking. But I tell you one thing, I observe and I can tell you one thing. If you're not talking to her, you're going to lose her. And then it's going to hit you in the face later on like, I fucked up. I lost the best thing I ever had.
Well, and how mentally taxing is it to man or woman to be in a relationship with someone that you cannot talk to because they'll start a fight. They'll hold it against you. They'll shut down. No, everything's fine. We sweep it under the rug. We move on. I heard a phrase the other day, and it was, don't be surprised when you trip over the rug that you continuously sweep things under.
Oh.
Dang.
Shit.
I want that on a shirt.
Right? Mm-hmm. How mentally taxing is it for either side to be in a relationship with somebody that you absolutely cannot bring anything to, even if it is a tough conversation to have?
Absolutely sucks.
Like, how, for yourself, you shut down, you start internalizing all of the things that you want to talk about. You're like, no, it's fine, whatever. Like, it's just going to start a fight. That, I think, for my previous relationship was one of our, that was the deal breaker. That was, I couldn't ever go to him about anything because it was either going to get held against me.
Yep.
He was going to start a fight, or he would just completely shut down and act like nothing was wrong.
100%. So, and the same way here. I knew I couldn't talk to him because if not admitted to anything bad, but if I, told him about something that was weighing on me heavily, it's going to come up a month down the road.
Yep.
Oh, well, you said this, but when he's justifying an action, and that started to weigh on me in that I kept everything in.
Yep.
Or I was confiding in another friend, and it came to a point where I did trip over that rug, and I completely lost it. I raged out. We found out that was a big trigger for my anxiety. And I tell you right now, you don't want to be in that type of relationship. If you are in that kind of relationship, I beg you to seek help.
Yep.
I beg.
Yep. Agreed.
And there's always a key thing about ladies' night and bro night, whatever that we call it. When you go out, because you work from home, Hammy, and you go out and have ladies' night and vent and relax and just release. Same thing with men that do the same thing, where it's like, get them out of the house, go hang out with your buddies, do stupid shit, drink, I don't know, dress up as women and have your own little show, but get them out and just have them, because let's be real, guys, no one knows what we do. We do some crazy, stupid shit. Just
what you do is none of my business.
Yeah.
Nope.
Just let them unwind, and those times are needed. And those are times when you normally talk and chill out and kick back a few beers and just vent to people you trust. But knowing when you can go home and you can explain and talk to your spouse just like she's supposed to be your best friend anyways, that's the key thing when it comes to bonding, trust, communication, and mental health.
Or being able to come home after a girls' night and talking about how much fun I had doing what we were doing and not having them go or make it into something that it's not. Not having them not be able to trust me in what I'm doing. I lost so many friends throughout my entire relationship because it could have been women that he knew, that he was comfortable with. But if I was going out with the girls, I was automatically doing something wrong. I was immediately doing something I wasn't supposed to be doing. So I didn't have that comfortability and that trust that I could come home and talk to him about that without it being used against me.
Oh, you had 2 drinks? So what did you do after that?
Yep.
Did you go to the
Who
bar?
bought you those drinks?
Yep.
Myself, bitch.
Exactly.
with my card.
Oh, you went to that bar?
Hmm.
Well, how many men did you speak to?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
they were buying those drinks. They want to take you home. Why are you here?
Oh,
Yeah.
and I love that, and I love what you said. There were certain, even females that probably couldn't hang around. Um, yeah, that
Yeah.
happens. If they don't like your friends, I don't know if I speak for you, Hammy here, but I couldn't hang out with them,
Nope.
or it was hell. I probably could have done it behind his back. It would have been more hell. So I just lost those
I
friends.
couldn't I couldn't even hang out with the women that he brought into my life through their husbands.
Wow. Now
Like it
that's
was his friends' husband or wives that I couldn't even go out and do things with because I was out enjoying life and having fun. Because God forbid I wasn't home being the caretaker.
Like mom.
Yeah.
it always blew my mind, serving with other buddies and seeing how they acted, and we had picnics or barbecues or draft nights or whatever, and just seeing how from afar, because like if we go to this guy's house and we see how them talking to their spouse, and it's like I wish a motherfucker would talk to me like that right now, because
Yeah.
your house or not, I'm your freaking sergeant above you, so it's like, or higher ranking officer. We might not be in uniform, but you ain't talking to her like that.
Yeah.
Because it's crazy to believe. Go ahead, Bozzy.
No, you finish your statement, and I will.
It's crazy to believe that there's men and women, because it goes both sides, because it is 2024. You can love who you want to love, because in the military especially, same-sex marriages, but it's the same concept: women's mental health, men's mental health. It's just crazy that you don't have the trust to allow your person that you are married to be themselves.
Mm-hmm.
You have to cut off friendships because they're not good for your appearance, or you got introduced by them from your spouse, and now you lost a good friendship because they have trust issues.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. Thank you, Soup.
Soupy.
We know that person. It's okay.
We do know soup.
We know that person.
No, Soup, I thought I fixed it like 2 podcasts ago, and I don't see it on OBS, but for some odd reason, it still comes through. It'll be fixed before next week. Lord have mercy.
Tammy, after you left that relationship, were you able to rekindle those friendships, or was it just done?
Lost them all in the divorce. Lost them all in the divorce. It's actually funny that you mentioned that. So one of the friendships that I had, him and I are still both legal guardians of their kids in case something happens. And she posted like a bunch of pictures the other day, and apparently like everybody was all over at like my old house. And they're all just like hanging out, partying, having all this fun. Everybody's doing everything together. I cannot get a single one of them to talk to me. Which in my mind tells me that he made me the bad guy, which is fine. If I have to be the bad guy in your story, that means I'm the hero in mine and I saved myself, and that's all I need to know.
Exactly. Oh, I've never heard it. Got it. I've never heard it said like that, but it's just like, you know what? Because I'm like huge into House of Dragons right now, so there's the Greens and the Blacks fighting each other right now, and the way you said it was just perfect. I'm like,
I'm telling you right now,
fuck
I want
Vagar.
that on a motherfucking shirt. I want that on a motherfucking shirt because it is so damn true.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing. I lost a ton of friends, and that's okay. I was supposed to be a godparent to another couple's, our best friends. No longer. That's totally fine. Okay.
And at the end of the day, losing those friendships, I've made so many beautiful friendships with so many beautiful women, and it just opened the door for those new friendships.
100%.
oh wow, we just had a moment of silence there. I know I was taking a drink, but
I thought you were choking for a minute. I kind of like. Like, what do we do here?
No, I've done some sketchy shit on camera, but I'll be all right.
Jesus Christ.
All right, we'll keep this rolling.
Yeah.
What are some key things that you do today that helps you relax your mind and ease the burden of the mental health that you deal with on a regular basis?
Therapy.
Therapy.
Again, just getting out of the house with the people that I enjoy being around, and sitting myself down and forcing myself, like we hit on earlier, to be honest with myself and reteaching myself how to trust myself. But really, that's what therapy has been the biggest help in the last couple of years. And gaming. I get to turn on a video game and have fun with my friends, and every day. And I don't want to call it escapism, because people will label it as you're just trying to escape your problems. No, I'm turning my brain off and I'm letting myself do something that I enjoy.
Yeah, where's Chief?
Life will be there. My life, my IRL life will be there when I turn this video game off. This is a few hours out of the day that I can just shut everything off, have fun with my friends, call it a night.
100%. I echo that. And I'm gonna add a funny one, and y'all are gonna think I'm absolutely nuts, but I'm gonna tell you anyway. Number one, Ham needs to stream. I said what I said.
Stop it.
But oh, my bad. Anyway, and being a part of the communities that we're in, that and I might catch some grief here, like, that is therapy. I just don't pay for that shit. Those motherfuckers just have to deal with me.
Amen.
It's the fun, it's the laughs, it's the late nights, it's the camaraderie. I was doing therapy for a couple years. I felt, when my therapist moved, I never could just find another that I liked her, and I liked that person to person. I liked in person, not over the computer, which is another whole thing. But here's my funny one. Okay, and y'all are gonna laugh at me. So, one of the things I do every month is, as a woman, I go and get waxed.
Oh, hell yeah. That
Okay.
Self-care.
Thank
Self-care.
you. Self-care?
Yeah, self-care.
Is one of the best fucking therapies, okay, that I actually do pay for.
Wait till you find out about a head massage.
Oh,
or a head salon.
Oh, I've already seen that on TikTok. But like, going and getting that waxing and just letting that day just go. And I swear she be all up in it, and we're singing Eminem.
And you're having fun, and it's woman to
It's so much
girlhood
fun.
at its finest. You're in my shit, but we're having fun.
Yeah. And I literally have to ask her, like, wait a minute. Like, I'm sorry you got to look at my vagina right now. That's fine. But how was your day been?
Yeah.
Well,
Tell me about your stress. Like, get it all out there.
So when I get waxed here soon, I can ask them how their day was going.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
You should ask them. Listen, they see a lot. You should ask them how their day is going.
They'll see a lot. They'll see a lot.
Can you imagine some of the shit they have to go through?
I hope it's not shit in general, but yeah.
I mean, it might be, depending on the person. You never know.
I'm gonna make sure I don't eat 24 hours prior.
There you go.
Because if that rib hurts, I'm not holding anything back. I've never been waxed down there. Why did I set this challenge before Midwest Fest? Why? And people are thinking I forgot. No, my sister already has it booked. I'm just gonna get it recorded and then post. Not the area.
Recording it?
They have to record my reactions.
I am only thinking of like 40-year-old virgins.
It's gonna be worse. Because we just recently seen a few people, like right now, Echoes is doing a challenge to wax his legs. Homegrown just did his chest on the Carbon podcast. But mine is going to be at a place professionally in Brazilian, done on me. And I'm Italian.
And they get all up in there.
Every crease and crevice you got, baby.
All I know is that I better not see a birthing table where I have to lift my legs and have them
If she's
sit
not
up.
putting you in happy baby or doggy, she's doing it wrong.
Doggy.
Yeah.
What's happy baby? What the fuck is
Where
that?
you're on your back and like all fours are up in the air.
Oh, I have to do that.
Yeah, happy
I have
baby.
to do
That's
that,
happy baby.
yeah.
It's a yoga pose. Happy baby.
Well, I do the happy
Or the bug
baby.
pose. Yeah.
I was
What's the
thinking
bug
more.
pose?
It's the same thing, dead bug, where
Oh.
like you're on your back and all fours are in the air.
I was thinking more spread eagle on your back, but
I mean, I do that too
Happy
No,
sometimes.
baby.
I just can't let that shit out.
they want access to
All
everything. Yeah.
You ought to see me lifting my legs up trying to. I'm telling you, it helps the sex life too. Don't worry about it.
I'll rather be in the fetal position afterwards. Just
You might be.
Lord have mercy. Where did this podcast go? Lord have mercy. We're talking.
Self care. We're
It is
taking
self
care of
care.
our
Self
mental
care.
health.
Self
This
care.
is mental health.
A little bit of
That is my
pain for a lot
self-care.
of gain, okay?
Amen.
Yeah, I didn't. Never mind. We'll leave that for after dark conversations.
Real.
What advice can you give other women that are dealing with similar difficulties when it comes to communication, mental health, and trust that you can give to other women?
Find a tribe. Find a support system, even if it's one person that you can trust. In the worst of worst case scenarios, whether it's if you're just struggling with mental health, especially with a spouse, in the sense that it's maybe purely mental, but there is a lot of domestic violence out there. There should be at least one person in your life who knows what is going on, who you can talk to, who you can trust in the event that you need to get out, in the event that something is happening. Somebody who can truly support you and help when you need the help.
Agreed.
And you have to, I mean, and again, you might be able to say the same, Bozzy. There was a lot of internalization with a lot of the problems. So there were certain situations where I couldn't tell anybody. I couldn't tell anybody. I didn't tell anybody. I am thankful I am still here. But it took a lot for me to be able to even find one person who would help me talk through the situation and help keep me on the track to saving myself. And that is so important.
I love that you said have that one person. Thankfully, I had my family very close, and they were always going to have my back.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to add on to that. Yes, you definitely 100% you have to have that outlet. You have to have that one person you can talk to. But I want to harp on the fact that you can only go through that for so long.
Yep.
You can only do it for so long before something has to happen. And that you always want a happy ending in all sense of the word. Sorry. I was forced to think that I had to stay in a situation because of my region where I am.
Mm-hmm.
Wedding, being married is forever. Marriage is forever.
That good old Southern Bible Belt thinking.
Good old Southern thinking. And by God, I don't want to know what would have happened if I didn't get out when I did. If you are a woman and you are hanging on because you think you have to, or you think that you will be shunned, or no one will believe you, I urge you to find that someone, get that help, and don't let it continue. It will not work out in your favor.
Bozzy, I did it for almost 15 years.
Jesus.
I was with him for almost 15 years. We were married for 10 and a half of those years. And one of the issues, and I feel like I would have been able to get out sooner if I would have found a support person sooner. I mean, there were nights where I would call my own mom begging for her to help me, begging for her to help me. And her and my stepdad would take it upon themselves to call him. Hey, what do you think about the situation?
Oof.
Oh, no, it's fine. She's just being dramatic. She's just being fine. So if I would have had like that support system,
I
and
can't
if
even.
I was made to feel like choosing myself would have been okay, if I would have had that from my family, like, hey, choosing yourself is okay, I think I would have been out a lot sooner.
And how do you help someone get there? How? Because I'm telling you, if I didn't have the support of my family, 10 years married, 2 years together,
Mm.
if I didn't have the support of my family, not giving a fuck about everyone else in the community, knowing that it was gonna be, it, I was gonna be the one drugged through the dirt. It's fine,
Yeah.
whatever. But I finally got to that point because of my family.
Yeah.
So
When
when
it's
a
hard
woman,
because everybody's life is their own life. You can only say certain things to certain people so many times. I think you can help be the person who tries to steer them in, I don't want to say the right, because everybody's path is different, right, wrong, whatever. I think being the ears for somebody, offering advice or talking through situations that you might be familiar with that you've experienced. I mean, there's going to be women who stay for 20, 30, 40 years. There are going to be women who go to the grave with that person because unfortunately that's just how they've determined that their life needs to be lived. We can't force anybody to see it a certain way. I think everybody,
and that's not where I was like not
yeah, no.
making them see that, but like
Yeah.
showing them that there's a support out there.
Just and that's one of the things I'm struggling with right now with like one of my girlfriends. Her husband is the worst of the worst. The worst of the worst individuals. She's only staying because of the kids, and I am constantly telling her, like, I am here for you. I have an open door for you. If you need somebody to talk, if you need me to give you the hard truths, if you need me to tough love you, I will tough love you. But it's also, I can only do that so many times. She will know when she's ready.
Right.
But as long as I'm expressing, like, hey, I am here for you if you do need this. And in your most worst case scenario, I will still be here for you.
That's
Shout
huge.
out to those women.
That is huge. Because in the back of her mind, if it comes down to it, where it's that last final hope, that conversation can rekindle in the back of her head, and
Hmm.
she better, and we all hope she'll contact. Because a
Yeah.
lot of women stay because of the kids, because they don't want to divorce and have it affect the kids. It's always about the kids. It's a lot
Yeah.
easier when there's no kids involved.
Hmm.
But there's still women out there that still stay because they see the positive side of a person that affects them worse, and they're not the same person they knew at the beginning.
Well,
That's always a
and
tough one for me because, oh, sorry, go ahead, Bozzy.
no. You go ahead. Yeah.
It's a tough one for me because my parents divorced when I was really young, but I very vividly remember a situation where they were going through it, and there was a day where they had both picked me up from school. I was in kindergarten, and they were like holding hands and trying to be lovey, but I could see all over my mom's face that like, and I looked at her that night and I was like, "Why are you married?
Sure. In
Why are
kindergarten.
you like?" I was 6 years old, and I'm like, "Why? Why? Why are you like? You're obviously not happy. Why are you still married?" And I feel like even in a sense of staying together for the kids, I think that there is still some negative impact on the kids because kids are very perceptive.
Mhm.
They're a lot more perceptive than anybody gives them credit for.
If they've seen what a good, healthy relationship
Yes.
looks like.
Yes.
100%. And you made me think of, and you being that person to one of your girlfriends, makes me think of a woman. I'm not gonna say names, who we know, who went through something very similar, who's got kids, who left, had the hardest time leaving, not just because of her kids, but worried about the financial situation
Hmm.
afterwards. That I believe that held that person back for a long time. But through the help of those friends that listened, who supported, um, was able to get out of that relationship, go back to school, earn a degree, just from those conversations. I mean, just from those conversations, and is now happy and living an amazing life just from a conversation.
And sometimes that's all it takes.
Final statement as we get ready for the giveaway and closing. What is the one thing you, as an individual, want to improve on yourself, so that way it can better help you when it comes to mental health within yourself? What is the one thing that you want to improve or focus on?
Learning to trust myself again. I think that's the biggest one, because I went through so many years of so many traumatic experiences that I definitely lost a lot of trust and faith in myself. So I definitely think that is my main area of focus, is learning to trust myself again and learning to have that faith in myself again.
Not only learning to trust myself again, but learning to love myself again.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Because I feel like I'm learning how a man should actually love me. But the hardest thing has been, and Nips has commented on it before to me, and she probably didn't even know I had these thoughts going on. But we were talking about, I think we were talking about boudoir.
Oh, I did that.
Or some videos or something like, I don't know, something to that nature. And she said, it wouldn't be just for them, it's for you.
Yep.
I did a boudoir shoot, and not a single person, maybe one or two people, have seen, but it was solely for myself.
And that has been the hardest thing mentally to come back from. There was a point in my life where I did love myself. It was broken down to the point of where I hated being myself in any capacity. And now I'm on that upswing, trying to get back. And I have to keep moving forward with that.
And similarly, I got to the point, and you might be able to say this as well, where I was broken down so much that I hated that I even existed. I did not think that my existence was welcomed by anybody. I didn't think that I deserved to exist in this world next to anybody, with any of my friends or anything. So it's definitely a huge fight to get back to feeling deserving again.
100%.
That's huge. It's huge, and that's why I like to ask these kind of questions, because it's not just you two amazing queens, but it's also people in chat that watch this live that not yet do they have a voice, but they have the opportunity to see others with a voice that like to talk about it, where they can feel comfortable enough to where they can come forward with their stories, or at least listen or interact in chat. And that's the key thing. That's the reason I enjoy doing this podcast when it comes around to mental health.
100%.
Well, you two fine queens have done an amazing job, and I greatly appreciate having you both on the podcast for women's mental health, and having you guys interact with chat, bringing your guys' communities and interacting. We are doing a giveaway for Freshen Up, because Freshen Up is sponsoring this podcast. If you would type women in chat, it would enter you into the giveaway. And it'll be your choice of what you would want from Freshen Up. Instead of doing just a tub or anything like that, we're going to give the winner a choice. So please type women with an E, not an A, because we have two women on the podcast tonight.
I'm just going to type A.
Yes.
I did see, not to continue to carry Bear. I saw Chiefs kind of hit on a conversation that him and I had last night regarding a charity that I would like to start at some point.
I didn't even have to say anything.
I saw him comment on it, and it kind of hits to what we were just talking about. But my goal is sometime within the next year or so, I would like to start some sort of not-for-profit for women who aren't able to get out of their situations, where funds are raised and we can figure out how to financially help support them if that is their biggest concern to leave. And I've also talked about friends, because one of my friends the other night was like, well, what about pets? Because there are women who are like, what about my dogs? I don't place my dogs. So we want to look for different fosters and different programs that we might be able to use to find temporary housing for the pets if women are afraid to leave because they don't want to leave their pets.
Fucking love that.
Mm-hmm. So that way they know the pets have a place to go temporarily while they're getting back on their feet. And once they're back on their feet, then they have a little less to worry about.
Because it's huge. Because your pets are your kids too. You didn't bring them into this world, but those pets do so much from kitten to old age, and we always outlive our pets 9 times out of 10. Because we don't have dragons as our pets or reptiles, but we always outlive them.
Yeah.
She's the brains. Oh, we believe it.
She's 100% the brain.
And we all met at Midwest Fest, and we still believe it.
That was such a blast. That was so much fun. That was so much fun.
Yeah, no, Hammy, when you get to start working on that, I want to help.
Okay.
What?
I'll keep you in mind.
100%.
Trying to figure out how to get it off the ground.
100%.
Okay, so why?
Homegrown, he still doesn't know where his socks are.
Jesus Christ.
So why is Botrix not working?
Botrix is a bitch.
Yep.
Feisty ass bitch.
We were trying to figure out last night in our conversation why he felt the need to take his socks off, and then he remembered because he took his shoes off at the front door, walked into the backyard after it was raining, and his socks got wet, so he was like, why do I need my socks anymore? And then just threw them.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Brother. Oh.
All right, Botrix is being a pain. Please type women again in chat. Please and thank you. I reopened it and it showed I got your 6. Why?
Thank you for doing this, by the way. It's been a lot of fun.
It's been a massive W. We've had jokes aside.
I've really enjoyed this.
I fucks with it.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, like, so Nips is on the next week's podcast, and it's going to be 2 women and Infinite Logic and myself, and it's going to be women versus men on different topics and stuff.
Oh.
This last weekend, luckily, because the internet, but Nips's significant other was coming into town, so I couldn't really do it. So that's when, before Saturday came, I was like, Bozzy, because Bozzy has been wanting to come on. So I was like, I'd love to have you on. What's another woman that you would like to have on? She's instantly was like, Hammy, and I'm like, done. Just make it happen.
You're the best, Bozzy.
All right, Botrix is being a...
Gotta put your queen. Gotta put your crown on top.
Oh, I feel like I'm making signs I shouldn't be making.
Yeah, you know, it's fine. Don't clip that. Don't clip that shit. We are not going gang signs, chat.
Or what's the new one the kids are doing these days? This one?
What the fuck?
It's a heart. I don't like it.
What the
Yeah.
fuck do your fingers do that? Right. Oh, wait, which finger is it?
Middle finger is straight. Pointer finger is curved.
Oh! My fingers don't do that shit. We just made a new gang sign.
Bozzy, what other
It's not Taylor
giveaway
Swift, Chiefs.
bots
She does this one.
Because Botrix is not registering.
Lotto bot. Kick Tools Lotto bot.
Oh, Kick Tools. Got me.
Copy.
No, Chiefs, I don't know if you want her to answer that question.
What? Does Homegirl's fingers do that?
Hey, yo.
Absolutely. Don't worry about it.
Self-care for a reason, baby.
It is what it is. See ya.
Of course, it's always gonna be.
Or you can do a wheel. I think the other night when we had all those issues, I6 was fucked up. The lotto thing wouldn't do right. Well, I just went to a wheel.
What's the website for the wheel?
Oh, just Google wheel.
Prize
Random name
wheel.
generator.
Like a random generator.
I don't know what I typed. Wheel of names, random name picker.
Wheel name
That's what I
picker.
typed.
Oh, there it is. That's the one.
Hey,
All right.
you so
Middle finger straight.
Middle finger. Right.
Pointer finger curved.
Curved. That is so fucking weird.
I don't like it. Yeah. I'm not a fan.
I feel like I just rather do that. You know what I'm saying? If I'm using my finger paint, it's going
I
straight.
feel like that could be used if like we have a love-hate relationship, like fuck you, but I love you.
Well, and I'm gonna be honest with you, and I mean, if you're a Leo, you may know that, but there is something very similar to that. That is a gang symbol, 100%.
Don't like that.
Kate.
Yep.
Don't
We have
like
to.
that.
We have to learn about all that shit.
Do they
Is
have
that
to like? Do they teach you about that stuff?
Yeah.
Really?
Honey, they be wearing all the colors in there. Like they wear the colors, they do all the signs. Like we have to know.
Wow.
Especially if they about to have a gang turf war in the room. Like, not today.
So my mom, she's been teaching.
Hey, thank you for watching the podcast. Tune in to the next episode of IGY6 podcast. Like what you see and would like to be a guest? Contact me through Twitter or Discord. Love to have you. Remember, you matter, mental health matters, you belong here, and I love you. Until next time, keep being you, and always remember, I got your 6.